A book summary of A Separate Piece by Audiobook Academy. John Knowles wrote a separate piece in 1959, a coming-of-age tale. His first and best-known book is the novel. It's based on a story he wrote called Phineas, which was published previously. Faulkner Foundation Award and Rosenthal Family Award were among several honors bestowed upon it. In 1960, it was a New York Times bestseller, and in 1961, it was a finalist for the National Book Award. New Hampshire High School Gene Forrester visits and wonders about how little has changed and how much has changed in him since he was a student there in the 1980s and 1990s. As a 16-year-old child, we see him through flashbacks to World War II, where he and his best buddy, Finney, are introduced. Though Finney, a talented, athletic child, is unaware of Gene's animosity and jealousy, Gene harbors a deep and abiding hatred for him. 15-year-old Finney was playing tag with his friend Gene when Gene started jostling the branch, which caused Finn to fall and break his leg when he hit the shore of the river below. Even though Finney's wounds are healing, he is ruled unsuitable to participate in school sports or join the military, as the other lads plan to do when they graduate. Gene continues to battle with the notion that he may have intentionally wounded his friend out of resentment, while Finney remains buoyant and optimistic. Students begin to question Gene about what happened the night Finney was injured and assemble an informal tribunal of students to find out the truth for themselves. Finney is so distraught by Gene's charges that he runs out of the room, sobbing, and falls down the stairs, re-breaking his leg. Finney dies shortly after, during a leg procedure, leaving Gene to finish high school and join the Navy. Back in the future, Gene reflects on his warped perception of Finney, whom he mistakenly believed to be an enemy, during his time in high school. On his first day back on campus 15 years after graduating from the Devon School in New Hampshire, the novel's narrator Gene Forrester notices how well the school's structures have survived. His memories of the school's appearance in the 1940s are still vivid in his mind. Gene recalls the terror he felt when the effects of World War II began to be felt in the United States. All the places on campus that he links with that fear are visited by him. Stairs in an academic building and a tree along an edge of the campus are included in this collection of photographs. Because of the wounds on its trunk, he knows exactly which tree it is, and he notices how much smaller it now appears than when he was a child. He walks back inside to get out of the rain because he recalls a French proverb that says something like this: "The more things remain the same, the more they change." A flashback to 1942 brings the story to a halt. A steely black steeple towers over Gene at the age of 16, as the same tree does. Finney, Elwyn Lepellier, Chet Douglas, and Bobby Zane are his housemates. It is Finney's goal to persuade the guys to leap from a tree's long branch into the raging river. He observes that the older students often perform the jump as part of their preparation for military service. First to jump, Finney inspires the other guys with self-belief. Gene comes in second, but the other boys reject. The group returns to the heart of the university. After Finney shames Gene into jumping, Gene disputes the accusation, even though he knows what he's saying is true. Finney and Gene get into a fight before heading back to their rooms to finish their homework. Next morning, Mr. Prodham, a schoolteacher, arrives to discipline the boys for their misbehavior, but Finney's affable demeanor wins him over and he leaves the lads unpunished. Finney decides to show his support for the Allied bombing of Central Europe by donning a bright pink shirt that day. Gene thinks it's cool that Finney can get away with wearing pink and that he can do whatever the hell he wants. This is demonstrated by Finney's appearance at afternoon tea wearing the school's tie as a belt, making the school's austere headmaster, Mr. Patch Withers, chuckle almost inconceivably. Gene is a little perturbed by Finney's lack of punishment, but he quickly moves on and the two lads head out to the tree laughing. Return to the tree and leap into the river once more. They decide to start a new secret club, the Super Suicide Society of the summer session, while white-knuckling it. Gene stumbles while attempting to make a caustic remark to Finney as they prepare to jump from the tree once more. However, after some thought, Gene understands that it wasn't Finney who saved his life, it was the tree itself that saved his life, therefore Gene doesn't really owe him any appreciation for saving his life. Finney encourages 6 additional boys to join their group that night. He begins formulating regulations, such as requiring Gene and himself to jump out of the tree at the start of each meeting. Even though he despises it and still has a fear of heights, Gene doesn't argue against this regulation. Finney and Gene are planning a trip to the beach, which is expressly prohibited by the school. On a bicycle, it takes them a long time to get there. Gene reluctantly agrees to go along with the scheme. Neither the ocean nor beach is warm enough for my liking. No matter what, Finney is having a good time. They eat hot dogs and get beer by faking draft cards, all thanks to the two of them. Finney tells Gene that he's delighted he came along and that he considers him his best friend while they lay in the sand. Gene nods his head in agreement, but he pauses at the end and says nothing. The lads spend the night on the sand and are roused by the break of day. They return to the university, where Gene has a trigonometry test to complete. A test fails and he laments that this is the first time he's ever failed one. Finney tries to make him feel better by telling him that he already works too hard. The class valedictorian accusation, which Gene vigorously denies, is made in jest. Gene, on the other hand, wants to be the class leader so that he may compete with Finney and the other boys' athletic achievements. How would Finney feel if he were valedictorian? Gene asks, and Finney jokingly says that he'd kill himself. Gene is convinced that Finney is overestimating the truthfulness of Gene's joke. Suddenly, he realizes that their connection is filled with jealousy and invents a rivalry he had never previously considered. Even more so, he comes to the conclusion that he is being kept from academic success by Finney's friendship and diversions. Gene makes a concerted effort to improve his grades. Gene sees Finney's increased workload as a risky move to sabotage his valedictorian aspiration. To keep Finney from becoming suspicious, he begins to defend himself around him, but he continues to attend the secret society's nightly sessions. When Gene is in his room studying late one night, Finney breaks in and claims that Lepellier, is about to leap from a tree into the river in order to join their mysterious club. Gene doesn't believe this and believes that Finney made this story up to keep him from his studies. He is correct. Gene bemoans the fact that his grades will suffer as a result, but he nonetheless follows the boy to the tree. Finney admits that he thought Gene's academic prowess came easily and that he never had to study. If Gene doesn't want to join them, he can go back to school, but Gene decides that he's already studied too much. As a result of Finney's demeanor and Gene's skepticism, Gene begins to believe that there was never a competition between the two of them. Moreover, he believes that Finney may even be morally superior to him because of his positive outlook on life and his unselfish nature. He thinks Finney is immune to resentment because he doesn't seem to be envious of anyone. Finney and Gene strip down to their underwear and climb out onto a branch that juts out over the river, suggesting a double leap. Despite Gene's best efforts, Finney loses his footing on the limb and falls to the riverside with a loud thud, leaving Gene to pick him up and carry him to safety. After that, Gene takes a risky dive into the river to save his friend. Finney's fractured leg is soon discovered. However, no one appears to believe Gene's fears that he may be blamed of deliberately causing him to fall. Away from his pal in the hospital, Gene spends a lot of time ruminating about what happened. Finney's attire makes him feel like a completely different person in the mirror. Gene's comfort lasts through the night, but when he wakes up the next morning, he is still haunted by the guilt of what he did to his friend, whether it was deliberate or accidental. Upon waking, Gene learns that Finney has made a partial recovery and wishes to meet him, but that he will never be able to return to sporting activities. The news of Gene's death has Gene inconsolable. Asked about his accident, Finney recalls the details. As he recalls, something happened that knocked Finney off his feet, and he looked over at Gene, reaching out to help him. It is confirmed by Gene, who says that he tried to contact Finney but was unsuccessful. In the midst of telling him that he was the cause of his fall, Gene is abruptly cut off by Finney's doctor, who informs him that visiting hours have ended. The next day, Gene learns that Finney isn't well enough to receive guests. Gene is devastated. The summer session comes to a close when an ambulance returns Finney to Boston. Gene takes a month off from work and heads to his southern home. Gene returns to Devon School in September, but he makes a pit stop at Finney's residence on the route. One of the boys is happy to see him and Finney is propped up in what seems like a hospital room. To Finney's surprise, Gene claims that he shook the limb to make him trip and fall. Finney becomes enraged because he refuses to accept this as fact. Gene comes to the realization that expressing this to Finney has done more harm than good. When asked about his plans for Thanksgiving, Finney informs him that he'll be back in school by then. When Gene returns to school, he finds that Finney has vanished from the campus. Gene's regular school headmaster, Mr. Ludsbury, chastises him for his summertime delinquency. When Gene and Finney went to the beach, he heard about Gene's late-night poker sessions in the dorms. Gene has no remorse about this and simply chastises himself for not making the most of the summer interim headmaster's easy-back attitude while he could have. A phone call has come into the master's study, and Mr. Ludsbury has told Gene that it's from the master. It turns out that the phone number Gene received was that of Finney. Finney inquires as to how things are going at school. Finney is relieved when Gene informs him that he will not be sharing a room with anyone for the time being. Finney explains to Gene that he only wanted to make sure that Gene wasn't acting crazy when he last came and claimed that he jostled the limb. Gene should join a school sports team for Finney's sake, He advises him. Soon, Finney will be returning to school. Leper tells Gene the night before he is enlisting to war, and Gene starts to feel like he should, too. Gene's plan to enroll has been discovered by Finney and she does not support it. Because he doesn't want him to leave, that's what Gene assumes. It was simply a dumb concept, and Gene tells him that he won't be enlisting. In order for Finney to check if anything has changed on the campus while he was away, the boys opt to skip their first class of the day. While going to the gym, Gene is concerned that Finney will become enraged because he will recall his prior athletic status. The second boy is taken to the locker room by Finney, who inquires as to which team he intends to join this year. Even though athletics aren't as important as they once were, Gene confesses that he hasn't even tried out for any. Finney is adamant that he doesn't think there's a battle going on. In his mind, it's all part of a government plot to keep young people like them from achieving their full potential. Afraid Gene will find out, Finney tells Gene that only he can see the plot because of all the pain he has through. This puts an end to the boys' light-hearted banter, and a strange silence falls over the room. Gene begins to perform pull-ups on an exercise bar in order to break the stalemate. A friend of Finney's encourages him to do 30. While the Olympics are likely to be postponed due to the conflict in Europe, Gene tells him that he had ambitions of being an Olympic athlete and tries to persuade him to take his place. Finney begins training Gene to be an athlete, and Gene begins tutoring Finney in schoolwork. Astonishing progress is being made by both of them. When the conflict breaks out the following year, Leper joins up. Gene is astonished and perplexed by what he's seeing. He has the impression that the battle is beyond his comprehension. As the other boys chat about the war, Gene and Finney find themselves spending less time with their pals and more time practicing. As Gene attends an annual winter carnival at school, Leper sends him an urgent message. He is withdrawn from the military and asks Gene to meet him at his family's house in Vermont. After a quick overnight trip and an early morning arrival, Gene is ready to go. Rather than believe that Leper misunderstood the telegraph, Gene gives him the benefit of the doubt and assumes that he misunderstood it. According to him, he faced being discharged from the military for being mentally unfit, which would have left him unable to find gainful employment upon his return to the United States. As a result, Gene and Leper begin a scuffle. When Finney fell off the tree, Leper claims Gene was to blame. Gene knocks a chair over with a stomp of his foot. As soon as she arrives, Leper's mother demands to know what is going on between her son and his girlfriend. Upon learning that her son is ill, she confronts Gene with the question of why he would harm her son. Gene reluctantly decides to stay for lunch because he feels bad about leaving. The two lads go for a walk after they've eaten lunch. At some point during the training camp, Leper broke down and confessed to Gene that he was terrified by hallucinations. It was because of this that the military chose to label him mad. Gene flees into the icy fields because he is overwhelmed by the situation. Upon his arrival back in Devon, Gene is surprised to see Finney conducting a snowball war. His bones are already getting stronger, so he asks Finney if he should be doing this. Finney says yes. According to Gene, Leper has changed his ways and is no longer in the army. Despite Gene's reassurances, everyone believes Leper has gone insane. Most of the other males in Gene's class decide to join the military during the course of the semester. Finney relents and says that he now believes that the war is a real thing. According to him, it must be true if it can make someone nuts. It is sad that 2 members of their graduating class have already been sidelined from the battle, says another student, Brinker, Finney and Leper. I know you've decided not to join the military because you're sorry about Finney, but I'd like you to confront him about it and push him to accept it. It is clear to him that Gene has a personal stake in the story of Finney's injury being ignored. When Gene originally told him about Leper, he was skeptical, but recently he saw him lurking in the college bushes. Gene is surprised to learn that Leper has returned to school. Brinker, another student, holds an investigation into Finney's injury that night in the school's assembly hall. Brinker asks Finney what happened the night of the accident, and Finney hesitantly says that he simply lost his balance and fell. The impromptu council inquires as to what caused his fall and whereabouts of Gene. Claims that Gene was on the ground looking up at him are made up by Finney. Gene claims he has no recollection of what occurred that night. Having Leper around would have helped Brinker remember everyone's specific location. Several males are dispatched to look for Leper after Finney confesses to seeing them on campus that morning. What Leper remembers doesn't matter, Gene claims, because he is insane. Upon his return, Leper reveals to the lads that he saw 2 persons on the branch and that one of them shook it so that the other would fall. In response to Brinker's question about who was on the branch, Leper shows some reluctance. He claims that he has nothing more to say, and refuses to back down. Despite Brinker's best efforts, Finney storms out of the room in tears and declares that he doesn't care what occurred. As he flees, the lads hear the tapping of his cane and the impact of his body hitting the marble stairwell below. The local wrestling coach, who lives nearby, is quickly summoned by the boys. Also, someone is dispatched to locate the school's physician. Finney's leg has broken again, but the doctor tells them that this time it is a clean break. Jean continues to follow Finney to the hospital's infirmary, and waits outside for the right moment to break in. Jean sneaks into Finney's room after the doctor has put her to sleep. Finney begins to wriggle in his bed, asking to know why Jean has come to break him at this very moment. He slips out of bed but forbids Jean from going in to help him back up. Jean expresses his remorse to Finney before leaving. Jean, dejected, spends the night wandering around campus by himself. On his return the following morning, he discovers a note from the doctor asking him to bring some of Finney's belongings to the hospital infirmary. Having done so, Jean notes that Finney's hands are trembling when they next meet each other. Finney is the first to acknowledge that he wrote to every branch of the military during the winter, pleading with them to let him enroll despite his injury, but they all turned him down. As it turns out, the reason he continued telling Jean that he didn't believe in the war was because he felt excluded from the discussion. As Jean explains to Finney, being friends with the enemy would have made him useless in the war and caused confusion among the troops. Finney breaks down and sobs, saying he believes Jean didn't comprehend what he was doing when he knocked him off the tree months before. Rather than being motivated by animosity toward him, Jean says his actions were driven by an inner urge he can't describe. This gives Finney a sense of security. According to the doctor, Jean can come back later that evening to have the bone in Finney's leg set. It's late at night when Jean goes back to the hospital to discover that Finney had died during surgery. Finney's heart stopped when marrow leaked from his bones and into his bloodstream, the doctor explains. Jean doesn't shed a tear, but he also thinks that a part of him has died along with the rest of the world. The school year comes to a conclusion, and the seniors in Jean's class graduate. Jean looks on as the military takes over a portion of the school's property for training purposes. As a result, Jean has opted to join the Navy, where he can avoid the dangers of the infantry. Seeing some army soldiers out in the field while he was packing up his locker, Jean decided to join in the fun. That training will be required of him in the near future, but he says he's grateful it won't be at Devon. Jean, being older and wiser, brings the story to a close 15 years from now. That his war was fought in Devon, where he killed his enemies, and that he never had to murder anyone in the conflict. Everybody, he adds, is confronted with something unfriendly at some point in their lives. This was during World War II, according to his peers. Finney was the only one who never felt the need to struggle. When it came to fear or hatred, Finney had none, says Jean. Only Finney had the insight to realize that a feared foe might not be so bad after all. Jean Forrester, the lead character and narrator of the book. By the time Jean gets to the point where he visits his former school, he's an older guy who is reliving his past memories as a teenager. Jean is a complex and divisive figure. Sometimes genuine and helpful, and other times cruel and unpleasant. Even though he is the primary narrator of the narrative, he proves to be an unreliable one when it comes to elucidating his own motives. For the most part, we assume that as an adult, his memories of Devon will have more depth and nuance. Although Jean has matured into a more confident individual, he still looks to be apprehensive about the future. He fears that nothing has changed since he was a teenager, both in the school and in himself. In the beginning, Jean paints a picture of Jean and Finney's friendship as idyllic, but as he tells the story, it becomes clear that this was not the reality. If we look at the way Jean assumes that Finney hates him because of his academic accomplishment, we see that this is indeed the case. For Jean's dislike of Finney's physical prowess and laid-back demeanor is evident. Finney's lack of animosity against him only makes him more enraged. Jean's animosity fades after Finney's demise. As a result of Jean's actions, intended or not, Finney has been reduced to Jean's level of incompetence. When Jean and Finney become increasingly dependent on one another, it is clear that Jean is seeking to merge his personality with Finney's in order to become one with the latter until they become one whole person. This shows Jean's desire to leave himself behind and become more like Finney by wearing Finney's clothes. Jean frequently uses adoring and even sensual language to describe Finney. Physical attraction is evident in his portrayal of Finney. Finney is the object of Jean's jealousy and thus the subject of his own personal war. However, numerous events in the book suggest that Jean's greatest love is Finney. Jean's conflicted feelings of adoration and resentment can only be transformed into acts of selfless service and devotion after he has injured Finney. In the book, it isn't clear if Jean consciously pushed Finney out of the tree or if it was an instinctual reaction. It's possible Jean doesn't know that this fall will be the first step in a series of events that eventually results in Finney's death, making him a murderer. This novel is tragic because of Gene's attempt to imitate Finney and to conflate his feelings for and loathing of him. Finney, Gene's friend and roommate. At Devon School, he is a well-liked student and an accomplished athlete. Most of the students in Finney's school seem to like him and he appears to enjoy life. Despite his injuries, he is still full of life and ready to talk his way out of any jam. Gene's portrayal of him is at times harsh and cruel, but his personality appears to be unaffected. In spite of Gene's secret love for Finney, the two appear to have a mutual admiration and respect for each other. Finney is compared to a Greek hero/athlete who is always triumphant in physical challenges and able to chuckle at the prospect of peril. Finney, like many Greek heroes, is depicted as a young man who dies at an early age. Finney is the kind of person who sees the good in everyone and considers no one an enemy. He says he prefers to play for the sheer joy of it rather than for the sake of winning or losing. Gene sees Finney's inability to distinguish between friends and foes as both a strength and a weakness. Despite Gene's admission that he has evil goals, Finney refuses to link them to him, and this ultimately proves disastrous for him. It's not uncommon for Finney to act as if everyone else thinks exactly like he does, and to demand that Gene and himself comply with his every request. Gene's hatred toward him stems from this attitude, which Finney does not notice. Finney is a dynamic and influential character, yet his life is sadly cut short at a young age because of his wonderful character. Elwin Lepelier, a fellow student of Gene and Finney. The first of his classmates to enlist in the war, is a quiet, tranquil, and introverted young man. They are even more shocked when he immediately quits the war. The enlistment of lepers symbolizes the looming threat of war that awaits the graduating class, casting a pall over their carefree high school years and casting doubt on their current acts and objectives. It's Lepper's disdain of waiting and his desire to move on fast to what he knows is inevitable that drives him to enroll. Desertion is a reminder that no amount of training can prepare young men for the horrors they will face in battle. The passages in which Lepper describes his wartime experiences and hallucinations are among the novel's most disturbing. While walking outside with Gene, Lepper shares his experiences, which is startling because the natural landscape contrasts so starkly with his character's dark and terrible inner world. Adolescence and men becoming soldiers are the two major themes in Lepper's hallucinations, which include men transforming into women and chair arms becoming human hands. Lepper believes that his hallucinations are a representation of his fears of adolescence as well as the transition from boys to men and soldiers. Brinker Hadley, another one of Devon's students. A friend of Gene and Finney's named Brinker, sets up a jury of lads to decide if Gene intentionally knocked Finney from the branch that crippled him. He claims to be doing this out of concern for Finney's welfare. In many respects, Brinker is a counterpoint to Finney. The Devon guys look up to him as their leader. It's Brinker who takes center stage when things get rougher and colder, as opposed to Finney who gets all the attention while it's bright and sunny outside. As a result, the two boys' characters come to embody the many seasons. In Brinker's mind, any child who he thinks to be even the slightest detractor of the war is unwelcome. He calls Lepper and Finney sideline because they were injured before to enlisting, and he openly mocks them for it. When he's in the school, he has a government-like presence, and Gene's character is suspiciously watched. Brinker also symbolizes the sense of responsibility that comes with the age of 25. He is the one who persuades Gene to give up the carefree lifestyle of his youth and take on the responsibilities of an adult by signing up for the military. In 1926, John Knowles was born in Fairmont, West Virginia, the son of a coal miner. The Knowles family was well off since his father was vice president of a mining firm. Before entering the military, Knowles completed his high school education at Phillips Exeter Academy. He served in the United States Air Force during World War II. Knowles went to Yale University after the war. As a member of the Yale Record and the Yale Daily News staff, he wrote to campus humor magazine The Yale Record. As a high school swimmer, he holds the school record for most wins in a season. A year after graduating in 1949, he worked as a reporter for the Hartford Courant and Holiday magazine. This was also when he started writing novels. A Separate Piece, 1959, is based on Knowles' own upbringing at Phillips Exeter Academy, while A Piece Breaks Out, 1981, uses the same setting to better effect. Knowles wrote 12 books in total, the latest of which was published on the internet in 1995, when it was just getting started. In November of 2001, Knowles died in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, at the age of 75, after a long illness. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.